Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, my friends. We are now in the Earth level challenge practices from my book Expansion Mastery, and this episode is going to be the third challenge in this section, which is referring to your body, the temple. This idea of the human body being a temple is very common. I'm sure all of you have heard this before. And it exists in nearly every form of spiritual and religious system. At the heart of it is this. The ancients have realized for a very long time that the keys to higher consciousness, to attaining a sense of awakening, lies within the human body. It is using the body and the mind as tools in order to unlock this hidden door within and allow us to access higher consciousness. So your physicality has as much to do with this as your mind does. And just as we need a healthy, stable mind in order to truly engage meditative practices and meditation without falling into delusion, so too do we need a healthy body in order to engage these practices. Now, the fact of this understanding about the body being a temple is easy to see throughout the entire world, actually, because most of the temples that have been built, and this isn't even confined to only temples, but most of the temples that have been built throughout time, tracing this back all the way into ancient Egypt and beyond, was designed in the shape of, in the overall pattern of the human body. And most of them consist of three sections: the outer court, the inner court, and the inner sanctum, or the Holy of Holies. And the rituals within these temples all symbolize the various processes taking place in the human body and mind. When you have been initiated into the esoteric teachings, this becomes very evident, and you don't need to really be taught this. You're able to see it for yourself, to understand it for yourself. But if you look at the temples such as Karnak and Luxor of Egypt, both of these structures were designed in the shape of the human body. Many Hindu temples are designed in the same manner. Some other very famous examples can be the Jewish tabernacle. Many structures of Hawaiian priests are built in this same idea. And a lot of the older churches and abbeys that were designed in the shape of a cross, a Christian cross, that is a symbol for the body. It is a human body with the arms stretched out to either side. Likewise, if you look at the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Louvre, the St. Petersburg Church in Rome, even the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And we can see these three areas of the outer court, inner court, and the inner sanctum, or Holy of Holies. We can see this in the representation in the East through Tenji Jin, or heaven, earth, and being, or humanity, which is at the core of the teachings of Expansion Mastery. Indeed, you are in them right now, working with the Earth section. We can see this is also symbolic in Taoism of the three Dantian. The examples just go on and on. And this allows us to recognize the importance of the human body in spirituality. So how does this relate to our spiritual practices? Well, in many, many ways. Many spiritual practices are ways of mastering the inner processes of the body and using the mind to assist you in doing so. We also know that it is important to keep our bodies clean. Part of this is out of respect for the temple. It's hard to respect your spiritual teachings if you do not respect your own physical form. This is also a way to stay healthy, to make sure that you are capable of performing the practices that are necessary for attaining a higher state of consciousness. The whole idea is about treating your body as if it were a temple, because it is a temple for all of the spiritual practices and training that is going on. It goes on within your mind and body. It's also the physical body that is responsible for bringing new life into the world. And this is an incredible event in and of itself. And when we examine the idea of the physical body, we can look at it as though our body is the physical version of us. It's a physical representation of us. We could look at it more esoterically as a symbol of ourself that exists in the physical world. However, we know that in reality, the body is not truly us. It is not who we are, but it is a temple, a vehicle in which we're able to experience this physical reality and attain higher states of consciousness while living in this lifetime. We need then to look at how we can keep the body, this temple, functioning properly, in other words, healthy. So we can look at some of the obvious things, such as making sure that we take in clean water. We're not drinking the contaminated city water that most cities have, that we are eating natural organic foods instead of processed foods or fast foods. We are not polluting our body with drugs, be it illicit or prescription. So we are careful as to what we put into our temple, what we allow into the temple. See, this is another aspect of viewing the body as a temple. You wouldn't walk into a place as magnificent as the Temple of Karnak in Egypt and start throwing your leftover fast food or other garbage around, right? But that would be the equivalent of putting it into your body. So we have to pay attention. We have to respect our body just like we would respect an external temple. And we have to be mindful of what we allow into that temple. I also include things such as music in this as well as for the mind, because not only are you feeding the mind with the things you listen to, but from a vibrational perspective, the music is affecting your physical body. Think about it. Your body is made up mostly of water. So that vibration from the outside, from whatever source you are listening to it on, is affecting the vibration of your physical body. So it isn't just our thoughts and emotions that can affect our vibrational frequency. It's also other vibration. This is the tuning fork effect. And it's very interesting because as I've been working on recording the Breathing Mastery program, I'm using a very, very nice bowl gong that my wife and I got from Nepal. And it's beautiful. And it's tuned to the third eye, so it's very nice. And when I was ringing this, making sure that the playback was okay, it was very interesting because I had stopped the ringing in the bowl, and when I played it back from the recording for the practice of the breathing program, it actually started to make the bowl gong start to vibrate again at the exact same frequency, at the same sound level as that playing on the recording. So again, we can see how one physical thing can affect the vibration of another physical thing, or vibrational influence can affect a physical object this way with vibration. So we have to be very careful not to listen to low vibration music. We have to listen to things that have high vibration, that raise our vibration, and are therefore respectful and healthy for our temple. All right, and in the book I list a number of things, such as beginning your day with a stretching routine. Absolutely, you have to stretch those tendons and muscles, and stretching is so good for the body, loosens everything up, gets you feeling good, gets you started on your day. So I highly recommend that everybody engages some sort of stretching routine. If you have any health limitations, make sure that you can consult your physician first in doing so and find the best routine that works for you. But even some simple stretches, just for about 15 minutes in the morning, is a wonderful way to begin your day. Exercise is another very important aspect that cannot be neglected. The human body requires a certain degree of exercise to remain healthy. So whether you're running, doing martial arts, weightlifting, yoga, walking, Pilates, whatever it is that you enjoy, whatever it is that allows you to get exercise, make sure that you are getting up out of the chair, off that sofa, and getting out in the world and getting some degree of physical exercise. Some of my favorites are martial arts, hiking mountain trails, kayaking through the bays in the area. I mean, I love doing these sorts of things. It's wonderful. My wife and I go for long walks on the beaches, on the trails. We work out with the Bowflex. We work out with the kettlebells. We have a stretching routine that we do. We do all kinds of exercise practices. The key to longevity is to keep moving. When we simply spend all our time sitting, we're rotting away. And it doesn't take long before your temple begins to crumble. So if we look at this according to the physical structures of a temple, all of these things would pertain to the outer court. If we move into the inner court, then this is when we engage in breathing practices, qigong, internal arts like tai chi or bagua or xingyi, energy healing, acupuncture, and other activities such as internal alchemy that allow us to engage in practices in a deeper level, working with the internal nature of our body, such as a vital life force, the breath, and even the internal organs. Keeping the internal organs healthy is incredibly necessary. So we have to keep the outer parts of the body healthy as well as the inner parts of the body. And this is the idea of the outer court and the inner court. So as you can see here, what we are dealing with is the actual act of doing. We are engaging the physical form, and that requires action to be taken. Action, whether it be hiking through a mountain or whether it be performing a qigong form in your backyard or some picturesque setting. So I've referred to the physical body here as a temple and a vehicle. And if we look at our surroundings, such as our home and our car, we see an accurate reflection of what is going on with our physical body and our mind. Think about it. Your home is your external temple, your own private external temple, where you set the vibrational frequency. If your home is cluttered and dirty, chances are your body is in a bit of disarray as well. And if your body isn't, your mind surely is. The same goes on with the car, right? Our body is a vehicle. We go from place to place in it. We get to experience life within it or through it. The vehicle is the same thing. It takes us from place to place this way. So if your car is filled with fast food wrappers and garbage and all kinds of things. Again, this is a reflection of your body and mind. I have a few examples in mind I'm not going to mention right now, but people I know who are the same way. Their cars are a mess, and they have nice new cars, and inside they're trashed. And if you look at them physically, they're unhealthy, and their minds are that of the ordinary, the common ego-controlled mind. And these people tend to make a million excuses as to why it's justifiable to have their surroundings be this way. But again, it's a form of disrespect for the temple. Oh, I have pets. Oh, I have kids. Oh, this is what it's like when you're really living life. No, that's what it's like when you have no respect for the idea of the temple. I was raised in a very nicely kept home. Thankfully, I give a lot of credit to my mother for that. She did a great job with that. In my first marriage, this was not the case. And we lived in a very unkept home. And this absolutely drove me crazy. I understood the disrespect to the temple of everyone who was in the home, including my daughters. And my oldest daughter told me just the other day, she said, I hated that having to grow up in that filthy of a house, and I keep my home much, much cleaner. And you may say, well, why didn't you clean it? Oh, I did. I would clean up, and within 2 to 3 days, it would be right back in the state it was before I cleaned it. Plus, I was working 12 to 18-hour shifts at a chemical factory, as well as running my own martial arts school. So I was a little busy. But I did what I could. I still tried. I just couldn't keep up with it. And it wasn't going to change. And it became evident after a while that this was going to be the case. And it actually got worse as time went by. And I just could not stay in that kind of environment. It wasn't conducive to my health. It wasn't conducive to spiritual growth. It wasn't conducive to respect. It wasn't conducive to anything positive in any way. So how you keep your home and your car matters. They are reflections of your mind and body. They are personal, yet outworldly forms of your temple. My wonderful wife and I now, we keep a very clean, neat home. Our car is the same way. We took our car in to be serviced just last weekend, and it's a couple years old now, and the serviceman waiting on us went out to check the mileage, and he came back and he was commenting on how it looks like it's brand new, how it looks as though it's hardly been used. Yeah, that's just how we treat things. We treat things with respect. We keep it up because it's going to be carrying our body and mind. We're going to be sitting in that very small environment. And to sit in that small environment with fast food wrappers spewing all over and spilled things on the seats and junk, garbage piled up here and there, doesn't make you feel good. We have to understand, too, that these things lower our vibration considerably. My wife and I have stayed in many temples for periods of time, practicing, studying, visiting, and just like in a martial arts school, it's very common to find the monks and even the priests all engaged in cleaning and keeping the temple immaculate. This cleaning of the outside is reflective of cleaning yourself on the inside, of being pure and of high vibration. It's very important. In regards to the outer court, if we're looking at a practice with the body, we can also see this reflected in our posture. If we're sitting slumped down or hunched over or laid back like we just don't care, think about that in terms of an actual external physical structure of a temple. You couldn't build it that way, it would collapse, right? It would not be sturdy. It would not be healthy. The same goes for us. If you don't have proper posture, you can't engage in the breathing practices correctly. And this is something that I cover in depth and guide you through in my new breath mastery program. So our posture matters, how we walk, how we stand, how we sit. To have good posture is to also represent the sound structure of a temple. And your temple is never stronger than when you are physically healthy, in a position of good posture, you have your heart open, you transcend the mind, so you are not of the egoic, rampant thoughts anymore, but you have developed a sense of mindfulness and even minor awakenings, and you have your heart open, you have the vital life force flowing freely through you. This is when you have a powerful temple. And this is when you are capable of living a fully engaged life. It's just good sense, and this may not be the most PC, but I'm going to say it because it's the truth regardless, and I don't really care about PC at all. So, is someone who is strung out on illicit drugs, living on the street, in a tent, filthy, mumbling around, defecating on the streets, is their temple strong? No, of course not. What about the person who sits at home eating fast food all the time, processed junk food, drinking 2 liters of soda or whatever they come in now, and sitting there staring at the TV? Is it becoming obese and unhealthy, rotting away? Is that someone who has a healthy temple? No, it is not. What about someone who absorbs themselves in the little tiny screen on their phone, where all they do is sit and they play with that phone, they text and they scroll and they look at that little screen all day? Is that someone who is living with a powerful temple? No. Would you consider any of those examples to be a person living a fully engaged life? Would they be capable of living a fully engaged life? Absolutely not. This is the importance of treating your body as a temple. Please make sure and visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. Grab your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery there and only there. You can also get the newly revised and expanded ebook, Reinventing Yourself Through Realignment. And soon, very soon, you'll be able to get the first module of the new breath mastery program that I've created. This thing is outstanding, very, very powerful. And please make sure that you're sharing these podcasts. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page and you support us on social media. Most important thing is to share all of this work, get it out there, share it with people so they get an idea of what true and honest spirituality entails instead of the foofy stuff or the twisted versions that are out there. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in all of these practices and your life. Take care.